Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Have you ever seen an old car cruise by, a real classic, and just felt a wave of nostalgia? Maybe it was a sleek Barracuda or a mighty Roadrunner. There's a good chance that car was a Plymouth, a brand that for over 70 years wasn't just about getting from A to B. It was about the American dream on four wheels. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the incredible story of Plymouth, from its humble beginnings to its roaring glory days and its eventual bittersweet end. So buckle up, because this is a ride through automotive history you won't want to miss. It all started back in 1928. The roaring 20s were in full swing, but the auto world was dominated by two giants, Ford and Chevrolet. Walter Paseo Chrysler, a true visionary, saw a gap in the market. He wanted to create a car for the everyday person, reliable, affordable, but with a touch more style and innovation than the competition. He named it Plymouth, a nod to the Plymouth Rock and the pioneering spirit of the first American settlers. The first model, the Model Q, was an instant hit. It offered features like four-wheel hydraulic brakes, which was a huge safety advancement over the mechanical brakes found on Fords and Chevys at the time. It was a simple promise: more car for your money. And America listened. Throughout the Great Depression, when many companies struggled, Plymouth thrived. They stuck to their formula of value and dependability. Plymouth became the car that families relied on, the workhorse that helped build the nation. They were known for their rugged engineering and simple, clean designs. Think about it: in a time of incredible economic hardship, having a car you could count on wasn't a luxury, it was a lifeline. Plymouth became synonymous with durability, a trusted member of the family that would never let you down. This reputation for being tough as nails would become a core part of the brand's identity for decades to come. As America emerged from World War II, a new era of optimism and prosperity dawned, and Plymouth was right there to capture the mood. The 1950s brought tail fins, chrome, and a splash of color to the automotive landscape. Plymouth designs became more expressive and forward-thinking. The 1955 Forward Look campaign, led by the legendary designer Virgil Exner, completely transformed the brand's image. Suddenly, Plymouths weren't just practical. They were cool. Cars like the Belvedere and the Fury were long, low, and sleek, looking like they were moving even when standing still. This was the era when Plymouth proved it could compete not just on price, but on pure, unadulterated style. Then came the 1960s, and with it, the muscle car era. This is where the Plymouth legend was truly forged in horsepower and burnt rubber. While other brands were already in the game, Plymouth entered with a bang. In 1964, they unleashed the Barracuda. With its massive, distinctive wraparound rear window, it was a true trendsetter and beat the Ford Mustang to market by just a couple of weeks, kicking off the pony car craze. But Plymouth didn't stop there. They wanted to dominate the streets, and that brings us to the king of the cartoon speedsters, the Roadrunner. Introduced in 1968, the Roadrunner was a genius marketing move. It was a no-frills, back-to-basics muscle car built for one thing: speed. Plymouth paid Warner Brothers $50,000 for the rights to use the Roadrunner, and wily, cowardly characters. They even developed a horn that went beep-beep. It was affordable, powerful, and dripping with personality. It came standard with a massive 383 cubic inch V8. And for those who craved ultimate power, there was the legendary 426 Hemi engine. The Hemi was a beast, a race-bred engine that made Plymouths like the Roadrunner, the GTX, and the Hemi Cuda the stuff of stoplight legends. These weren't just cars. They were cultural icons, symbols of freedom and raw, unapologetic power. The 1970s, however, brought new challenges. The oil crisis of 1973 and stricter emissions regulations hit the muscle car market hard. The era of cheap gas and big engines was over. Like many American automakers, Plymouth struggled to adapt. They shifted focus to smaller, more fuel-efficient cars like the Volare and the Horizon. The Horizon was actually quite innovative for its time. A front-wheel drive subcompact that won Motor Trend's Car of the Year award in 1978. It was a practical, sensible car for a new, more practical and sensible time. While these cars sold well and kept the brand afloat, some of that old fire, that rebellious spirit of the muscle car era, was undeniably lost. Entering the 1980s, Plymouth became increasingly intertwined with its parent company, Chrysler, and its sibling brand, Dodge. This was the era of badge engineering, where Plymouth, Dodge, and Chrysler models would often be nearly identical, save for a few cosmetic details and the name on the trunk. Cars like the Plymouth Reliant K-Car were instrumental in saving Chrysler from bankruptcy, and the Plymouth Voyager, along with its Dodge Caravan twin, literally invented the minivan segment, changing family transportation forever. These were hugely successful and important vehicles, but the unique identity of Plymouth was starting to fade. It became harder to answer the question, what makes a Plymouth a Plymouth? By the 1990s, Chrysler made a few last-ditch efforts to inject some excitement back into the brand. The Plymouth Prowler was a stunning, retro-styled hot rod that looked like nothing else on the road. It was a bold design statement, a throwback to an earlier, more flamboyant era. There was also the sporty Plymouth Laser and the fun, youthful Neon. These cars had flashes of the old Plymouth spirit, but unfortunately, it was too little, too late. The automotive market had become incredibly crowded and competitive. Decades of badge engineering had diluted the brand's image to the point where many consumers just saw them as slightly cheaper versions of their Dodge counterparts. The final announcement came in 2001. After 73 years, Chrysler decided to discontinue the Plymouth brand. The last Plymouth to roll off the assembly line was a Neon. It was a quiet, unceremonious end for a brand that had once roared so loudly. The reasons were complex: market consolidation, brand dilution, and a strategic decision by the parent company to focus its resources on the Chrysler and Dodge brands. 4 generations of drivers who had grown up with Plymouths in their driveways. It was the end of an era. So, what is Plymouth's legacy? It's more than just a collection of old cars. Plymouth was the brand that put hydraulic brakes in the hands of the masses. It was the reliable workhorse that got families through the Depression. It was the stylish cruiser of the fabulous 50s, and it was the undisputed king of the streets with the Hemi Cuda and Roadrunner. It created the minivan, for crying out loud. Plymouth was a mirror reflecting the dreams, the struggles, and the triumphs of America itself. It was the people's car, a brand that offered style, performance, and value to everyone. Today, the spirit of Plymouth lives on at car shows, in garages, and on the open road, lovingly maintained by enthusiasts who remember what made this brand so special. So next time you see a classic Fury or a Roadrunner, give a little nod of respect. You're not just looking at a car. You're looking at a piece of American history. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey through the history of Plymouth. What's your favorite Plymouth model? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more deep dives into automotive history. We'll see you in the next one.